Welcome back to the Are You in the Book podcast. My name is Eric Webenaw, the president of the Baseball Blue Book, and we're excited to have Coach Szemacs with us at Bryant and Stratton up there in Solon, Ohio. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, I'm doing great, and I appreciate you joining us. Hope you had a good holiday season, kind of the dead week before the new year, and I'm sure you're busy getting kind of things ready for the 2024 season. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, and we'll get right into the journey, kind of your journey to a head coach, and hear a little bit more about your program.
For sure. My name's Austin Szemacs. I'm entering my fourth season coaching at this level. First year head coach here at Bryant and Stratton College. I've been here all 4 years. Kind of worked my way up from, bullpen coach all the way now up to head coach, and so it's a pretty exciting time to kind of take over. And yeah, just kind of getting ready for the 24 season. We start up, January 8th. So I'm looking forward to it.
It's come quick. Yeah, I talked to a lot of coaches, and the amount of time that you guys have off is so short. And so I appreciate the opportunity to get you on the phone and talk to you a little bit. The podcast is a lot about the journey, the coach's journey, and yours is as unique as everyone's. But I think it's also a little unique because you are a younger coach, and I love talking to younger coaches. They bring just a different perspective on things. They're so close to the recruiting process that the kids are going through. There's pluses and minuses. So let's hear about your journey to being a head coach.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, I graduated from Malone University up here in Canton, Ohio, in 2018. Really, right as soon as I graduated, I kind of got into the youth baseball scene there, coaching like 14U to 16U, I think it was, and doing the lessons on the side. I just wanted to stay connected in the game, and really, how I ended up at Bryant and Stratton was I just really got lucky. It was just a random Twitter message from the head coach at the time asking, hey, are you interested in coaching college? And I said absolutely. It was the first year of the program. So I've been here since the start of the program, and it's been such a cool experience. I came in as really the low man on the totem pole, if you will, sitting in the bullpen, making sure the pitchers were, on task and everything, and getting warmed up at the right time. Wasn't really doing much recruiting at the time. And then, the next year, our pitching coach left, and, I took over as that and really stepped into a recruiting role at the time. And, the year after that, I was recruiting coordinator, and then, the year after that, now I'm head coach. So it's every year's kind of been a quick bump up, but it's been exciting. And, there's people outside of Bryant and Stratton that, we could talk about later that have really helped me, but, it's been great. It's been a blast.
So you said when you got done, and you hear this a lot, right? You're about ready to finish up your collegiate playing time, and now all of a sudden real life hits, and it's like, okay, what do we do, right? Did you go to school knowing that you were wanting to do the coaching, or did you go into the youth ball to kind of just to stay connected to the game?
I knew I definitely wanted to try to coach in college at some point. I graduated with an exercise science degree, so that's been helpful. But so I was working at a physical therapy clinic as like a fitness aide at the time. So doing that, and then the summer ball gig. So, and like I said, I just kind of got lucky.
Yeah.
But yeah, after college, I knew I definitely wanted to coach and kind of pursue this. So yeah,
I've heard a lot when somebody goes into the field that they studied and they're like, wait a minute, is this really what I want? Maybe there's a better, maybe coaching is what would suit me better. It sounds a little bit like what the kind of the process that you went through. Let's kind of break this down. I mean, you started in the bullpen, not really having anything to do with the recruiting side, but you've elevated quickly. Do you feel was that about the program being new and just people leaving, finding better opportunities? What in your mind was, obviously you said luck, but there's more than just luck, right?
Yeah.
You had done something that made them believe in you. Talk about that process of each year kind of not knowing where it's going to go, and then all of a sudden you're getting promoted into these new roles. And how did you figure it out, right? I mean, I know you were a ball player, but talk about kind of what you had to do.
Yeah. So really, going back to knowing I wanted to coach after college, my pitching coach in college was Kyle Halleck. He's the head coach at Bowling Green State now. And, everything that guy handed out while I was at Malone, I kept. So I knew I had a good base of, knowledge, I guess. And really, I brought something to the table every day. Even when I started off as the bullpen guy, it's not like I was, knowledgeless. I didn't know anything,
Right.
I just brought an energy and an intensity that I think the head coach at the time really enjoyed. His name's Jake Plate. I give so much credit to him, for guiding me and really taking me under his wing. And that's the guy that really got me into the recruiting side of things and really taught me everything I know about recruiting right now. So yeah, I give a lot of credit to him, but there was obviously times like my first year as a pitching coach, okay, now I got to come up with a practice plan every day. And that's kind of like the wake up call. And it's like, oh shoot. So that first month out, I was kind of feeling everything out. But as far as that goes, after that, it kind of just smooth sailing. Once guys figure out their routines and, us as coaches figure out our routines, it's pretty smooth sailing. But
you know what? I love the perspective that you had, right? You're thrown into something, you got to figure it out. And it brings up a question, there's that experience versus passion. And then I think the passion then obviously turns into experience. You certainly didn't have any experience, right? But you had the passion. You talked about the passion. Talk about how that got you through to give you the opportunity to learn and bring some experience to the position.
Sure. So I think, that passion I brought, I think the players on the team and obviously the other coaches saw that. And, when they see players buying into, what I'm saying and they want to hear from me, even though, I'm not the main pitching coach at the time,
Right.
I think that carries its weight, when guys buy in and, I have the good relationship with the players on the team, I take pride in that as well. So I think, that when guys buy in, it made everything so much easier, realistically. And just being here every day, learning from the good coaches on staff, that's really where the experience kind of helped.
Talk about buying in. What are they buying in? Talk about what your philosophy is, and what are they buying into at your program?
Sure. So my main philosophy is we're going to come here and we're going to work. I don't really believe in on Twitter. We see a lot of let's just say different ideas floated out there. And, and I'm not really one for eyewash stuff. So now we're all into the technology and everything, but, we're going to come here and we're going to do things that matter. We're not just going to be at practice for 4 hours to say we're at practice for 4 hours. We're going to be here, get our work in. My main pitching philosophy too, we're not here to teach a velo class. Guys are going to come here, they're going to get stronger and they're going to move well. They're going to move better. And as a result, they're going to throw better, throw harder, and not even just that, but the mental side of things as well. I think I personally take a lot of pride in, making sure these guys know the game. Yeah. So, just a lot of colleges, they'll call pitches. I don't call pitches here, throughout the fall, I'm teaching our catchers, I'm teaching our pitchers, I'm teaching, our middle infielders, how a game works, how, pitches should be called, how to see stuff from a batter. So I think, is there a learning curve? Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's the wrong thing is called, but that's baseball. Right. That's how you learn. So that's really, really where I'm at. I want these guys to eventually realistically become their own coach. That's my end goal.
That's great. That's great. Kind of an old school type mentality in a technology driven industry right now. I think that is a really good way of thinking about it from your perspective. Talk about that, because you were being young. You certainly were introduced to a lot of the new analytics and the technology and like you said, the velo. You had the showcases and you had the tournaments and all of this stuff kind of going through. it doesn't sound like that had a lot of effect on how your philosophy as a coach is. I mean, you talked about just getting it done. We're not teaching that. We're just learning the game. A lot of let me get to the question, I guess. The question really is, when you're thinking about that, and you said getting it done, focusing on that, do you see that the baseball IQ is a real focus on what you need to teach, or are these kids coming in with a high baseball IQ and you're kind of just molding that and helping them get to where they need to go?
So, the old school thing, I wouldn't consider myself old school or new school. I'm me. I'm very familiar with, the data, the analytics, and how to use it and everything. We use it here, but, it's not the end all be all. But as far as like the baseball IQ, like, I think it's super important to still teach these guys the game because, I think, full honestly, I think it's a little bit lower than, even when I was in college, just because the way a summer ball is kind of shaped up, to where it's not necessarily like an educational thing. It's more of like a showcase, get
Right.
you recruited type of thing. And that's great. That's perfectly fine. I use it, I need it.
Yeah.
But, I think in being at a JUCO, we have so much extra practice time. Why not hammer those points in? Why not really dive in and teach the game? I think that's super important because, it just makes them more well-rounded when we do send them to their four-year school.
Right.
I want them to be as complete of players as they can be.
That's great. The difference between a JUCO and a 4-year, you kind of explained it pretty well, right? We have the opportunity to do a lot more development and focusing on those things that are going to make you a better player. And being that there's more practice time, and then your goal is ultimately get these guys into a 4-year program. Mm-hmm. Talk about the recruiting process then. I mean, because it is different, right? And certainly with what's happening in the industry with the portal and people moving and everything that's going on, I believe that the JUCOs are going to play a significantly bigger role as we continue to kind of navigate through this chaos. Talk about that and kind of what you're thinking as things are kind of that people are trying to figure this new world out.
Yeah. So realistically, we're trying to figure it out as well because it's ever changing. But that's something we kind of push. We come here. We carry a smaller roster, just so guys get here and play. That's kind of the point. So we push that and we go. 4-year schools are going to want more experienced guys now. That's just the fact of the matter. We really don't personally, we don't use the portal all that much. Like we usually have 1 or 2 guys, but a lot of our guys are out of high school.
Yeah.
But the recruiting side though, it's a little strange, a little different than a 4-year because we have to wait a little bit longer. We don't get those early commitments most of the time. We don't really get commitments till realistically the end of the summer. So that's kind of tough to navigate, but we just kind of have to outwork. I'm all over Twitter. I use Twitter as a huge tool to kind of get our program out there because being a 4th-year program, there's not a lot of people that know about us yet. We've done well. We have a pretty good record for our first 3 years, but Twitter's helpful. I just want to get our program out there.
No, that's a good point. I talked to a lot of JUCO guys. It's not like a lot of players have Bryant Stratton posters on their room, right?
Right.
I talked to one JUCO coach, and he goes, "I think where JUCO fits is if they don't fall in love." And I really thought that was a kind of an eye-opening comment because you guys it's different, right? You're coming in for a particular reason. They're focused on more than, getting kind of some of their understudies done, but really focusing on that baseball so that they can go to that next level. Is that part of the kind of type of guys that you're looking for? Or as you said, it's kind of a late commit. Are you kind of just taking what you can get? Talk about that and what the process is for you and your staff.
Okay. Yeah. So I try to, if you're brutally honest, my recruiting philosophy is I want to steal as many D1 players from D1s as I can out of high school. Yeah. We're by no means are we waiting to get, I don't want to say the bottom of the barrel, but the lesser guys are taking as far as taking what we can get. Like, no, we're pretty aggressive on the recruiting trail. At showcases, we're present all the time here in Ohio. So really, we just have to stay in front of people. We have to be overly active because, like you said, we're not that big brand. We're not Ohio State.
Right.
We're not Kent State, where when I DM a guy, they're like, "Oh shoot, they just DM'd me." Like, so I want to, obviously build our program. Like we just preach our development strategy,
Yeah.
And the success that we have moving guys on to 4 years. So that's really, and myself as a coach, that's really where we're at.
Well, I think that, the timing obviously is going to be exciting, I think, for JUCOs. When you start hearing D1s are very rarely bringing in high school players these days, right?
Yeah.
They've got the pick of 4,000 players that have already got a year or two of experience. You don't have to educate them on the transition from high school to college. There's a lot of things that are going on. It sets you guys up really well. Do you find yourself, working closely with 4-year schools, kind of working and talking with other coaches and being part of their recruiting process? Because again, they're going to portal and they're going to JUCOs. Is that something that you've started to develop, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I have pretty consistent conversations with the 4 years, especially the ones in Ohio, just because in the fall we play them. That we don't really play other JUCOs in the fall. Okay. All we do is we go around and play all the Ohio 4 years. So I've got pretty good relationships with them, and they'll every once in a while they'll toss me a kid that'll say, "Hey, he's looking for JUCO. We'd love to see him, after being with you for a little while." And I think that's such a cool relationship because one, they're trusting what we're doing with players, and I think at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. We have our wins and losses, but at the end of the day, like my job is to get guys better and send them to 4 years. So I think that relationship is definitely pretty cool. It's evolving. My phone blows up quite often just because we have guys come in and realistically especially pitchers, they blow up here. They come in with not much and then they leave with a plethora of options, and it's great. It's so cool to see.
I'm a huge fan of the JUCO route. I think what's happening now is going to be a benefit for the overall baseball, kind of the process that's going on. You hate to say it's a D league like the NBA, but it's almost a development league for the 4-year programs. And I would think that the teams are going to start embracing this, right? And creating almost regional, development groups and teams and working with that. It's almost Penn State. Penn State does they've got 30, 40 baseball programs across the state, right? And they're all, they're everywhere. But they're part of the Penn State network. And so you can start seeing some of these things that will start happening. I think it's really exciting. I love the Northeast Ohio. You've got the challenge there is the weather. Talk about why your program, being in the Northeast, you're competing with so many different, aspects of the game and finding the players. There's so many good schools everywhere. Where do you go? What are you looking for? What is the good fit for you and your program?
Sure. So, I have a pretty good relationship with the PBR guys in our state. So that's really the main connection. I want to get as many local guys as possible. That's my big point, just because Ohio does have a pretty solid talent bed. Yep. We've been lucky with Michigan as well, but I'm really looking for guys that at this point I'm looking to take our program to the next level. Really, guys that are come in, and like you talked about earlier, that really are focused on baseball. They're not just here to say, "Hey, I'm a college baseball player." Yep. They're here they have a goal, they want to achieve it, no matter what that goal is. Whether that goal is, "Hey, I want to be a D1 guy." All right, well, I'm going to hold you to that standard. And if it's, "Hey, I just want to move on to a quality 4-year," that's great. As long as you're coming in with a goal and a reasonable plan to achieve it, that's what we're looking for. So, talent level, it's important. Realistically, we're looking for guys with upside. So you might not be at your velo number right now. That super attractive, 90 mile an hour number, but if you've got the tangibles, like I'm saying, like you have a goal, you have a good frame, you're athletic, like we'll take a look at you. Because 2 years ago we had 3 guys come in, 79 to 82, and they all left touching 90.
Nice.
But those are the first guys in, last guys out.
Yeah.
That's the type of guy I'm looking for. And, again, it doesn't have to be you leave here touching 90. But, if you're making a 10-mile-an-hour jump like those guys did, but like the first guy in, last guy out mentality, that's what I'm looking for. Like when those three guys pitched on the mound, I basically kicked my feet up. Like I knew like they were like it was basically an automatic win sometimes with those guys because I
Nice.
trusted them so much. Like they knew what they were doing and they came in with a plan and executed it. So I think that's really the most important thing for me is guys coming in with that plan.
That's great. That's great. Finding those guys, that's the trick, right? And you
It
said you have
is.
a relationship with PBR, which is fantastic. They've got a good group of people that are coming through. And then you also use Twitter. Twitter's
Mm-hmm.
a great platform to get your kind of get your program out there. And we're going to certainly promote you guys as much as we can, get you out there
Awesome.
so people understand and know who you are. What do you want parents and players to know about you?
The child's in good hands. We're here. It's a young group that's, we're again, like I said, we're energetic. We have 4 full-time coaches. It's not like these guys are working a 9 to 5 and then coming to practice. Like baseball is what we do, and I think that's super important because coaches aren't coming to practice drained. We're coming to practice, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and hopefully that spreads to the players. And I think guys genuinely enjoy coming to practice. We're putting the player first here. I think that's the most important thing for us. Like, and we have had guys get Division I offers that chose D2s, and I'm like, it's okay. It's a better fit for you, man. Like that. At the end of the day, it's all about the players.
Yeah.
I don't really care about my win-loss record. Am I going to go out there and try to win? Absolutely. But again, it's about how we can move guys on. It's about how we can, provide a good experience for these players and really just help them with their future, finding that next stop.
What is your favorite part of coaching?
It has to be that. It has to be, the relationships with the players. And again, like there's nothing really more fulfilling than helping a guy find their next and hopefully final stop. That I take so much pride in that, and to me, it's more important than wins and losses. They kind of go hand in hand, but, when a guy that comes in with little to no offers leaves with 5 or 6, there's nothing better than that, so I think that's definitely the best part for me personally.
What's the biggest struggle? What's the toughest part of the job?
Oh man. I don't know. It's hard to find a tough part when, I really enjoy all of it so much. The toughest part really though is probably getting through those winter months, before break when we're not outside anymore. And, we have those, I don't know, like 6 weeks inside that, kind of mixing it up, keeping it fresh for the guys, like, and realistically the other coaches, that's definitely a challenge sometimes, but, it's all part of it.
You know what? I'm from the Northeast, and people say that you're competing with the Southwest and the South. I always say that those 6 weeks build so much anticipation, excitement that there's nothing like it, right? I mean, when you get all that pent up energy and you're ready to go out, it's the guys in the South, they don't have that same, build up and expectation or desire to go back out. That's just me and my own personal. Right. I think we got an edge.
No, yeah, for sure. Like coaches included. Yeah, we just can't wait to get outside. And from end of October to late February, we're indoors.
Yep.
So yeah, you're right. Absolutely, there's a huge build up.
It's fantastic. Well, Coach, where do players get a hold of you? Where do you make your rounds? If somebody looks at it and goes, you know what, I really think it makes sense for me to do the JUCO route. There's things that I want to work on, and this might be a good fit. What's the best way? We talked about Twitter, obviously, PBR. What else are you guys doing? Are you going to high school games? Do you have a camp that you guys open invitation? What does it look like for players?
Sure. So we typically do a summer camp. The main, and I think this upcoming summer, we're actually just going to make it free. Just try to get as many guys out there as we can.
That's great.
Yeah, so we do so much fundraising. We don't need to charge for it. It's all good. But we Twitter really is the main outlet that guys find me at. But we are at high school games. When we have an off day, we are at as many showcases as possible. Not just PBR ones, but realistically all over the place.
Yep.
If a local summer team's having a little scout day or something, like, we're gonna try to be there. Just kind of trying to make our presence known as much as possible. In the summer, we're in the bleachers just hanging out. I encourage people to come up and talk to me because I'm there for a long time.
Yeah.
I like to talk to somebody throughout that. But we're really as all over as much as we can be.
I think it's great to have a summer camps, and I always encourage players, parents, if you're taking a look at a school, that's probably the best way of gauging kind of if it's a good fit. Go watch, go and meet the coaches. The other one
Yeah.
is go watch some games. I think that
Mm-hmm.
people will be surprised the level of talent at all levels of college baseball. I'm one that don't ever say D1 or bust. Don't look at the JUCOs as something less. The players and the level of talent at all levels of college baseball is something to be impressed by. And I always encourage people to go to the games and check out these coaches. Coach, I appreciate it. Talk a bit about the Bryant Stratton kind of the focus area. I mean, we all kind of understand the JUCO route, the junior college, kind of get those prerequisites out of the way. But what else makes Bryant Stratton unique, special in whatever way that you would like to explain it?
Sure. So, the college itself, it's pretty small. I think there's about like 300 or 400 students total here. What makes it cool is, if you're into this type of thing, is the class sizes are small. So,
Yeah.
your professors really well. They know who you are. They know when you're not there, and they know when you're there. Another thing that's cool is my office is right in the middle of campus. Everything's in one building, and my office is right in the middle of it. So, there's always a good, solid support staff here for the student. And I think that's really the most important thing, because sometimes there is an adjustment going from high school to college. Our schedule is favorable for guys making that transition. We're done with everything, class, lifting, practice by 4:15 every day, just because all of our classes are in the morning. And so there's that structure there every day. And I think it's important that, not only is there structure, but these guys have their own time to continue working a part-time job. I encourage guys to do that, and it's nice. So the schedule, I would say, is probably the best part about the academic side of here.
That's great. Coach, I appreciate the opportunity to get to know you. Looking forward to kind of following your program and your career. I think it's exciting, the young people that are coming in and learning from some of the older guys, but carrying on that tradition, carrying on the passion that to really help develop these kids and move them forward. So, Coach, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You have a great day.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Man, great interview. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity